Well, as you can see, we're back home. You already knew that. We checked the front tire, which I'm about to take off. We're going to go over this thing and see how everything looks, see if we've developed any leaks or cracks in the brakes, or basically check everything over, make sure everything's in good shape besides the damage that we picked up, and then start making a plan for what we want to do to improve it. And I've got a nice list of things that we need to do, and I need to decide how much of that I want to disclose. So stay tuned. If I find anything odd, I will show you. I guess one thing I've already done is replaced this tensioner. We were having an issue when I was getting into higher RPMs. The belt would start to climb up and over this edge of the tensioner pulley, and it never fully came off, so we never dropped out of a race because of it, so that was good. But obviously that's something we needed to fix. So I got a C6 pulley tensioner combo that offsets the pulley a little bit more, and then it's got a higher ridge on the outside, so hopefully the belt doesn't try and climb up and over again. So that's already done, and on to the next thing. Well, everything looked quite good. We had one tiny little oil leak on the return from the oil pump. I just had to tighten that AN fitting and clean it off. It was very minor. We're also melting spark plug wires, so I got to figure out a solution to that better than just some reflective tape. That was a track fix. Otherwise, everything else looks pretty good. I do need to figure out why my brake lights don't work. That happened, I believe, from the crash, from the accident, impact, whatever. So I'm going to look into that now. Well, the brake lights I still don't know yet. I tested them at the track, and it appeared to be the pressure sensor switch that was bad, but I figured I'd show you what we're looking at up here. So this is our bash bar. It's supposed to be out here, as you'd probably guess, and she's no longer in that shape. Can focus, whatever. Obviously that's bent, so we'll replace that. I might beef that up a little bit with some little thicker wall tubing. But it did its job. It absorbed that energy and didn't let it tweak the frame or anything, so that was good. Yo! I've been doing a bunch of stuff off camera, but I figured I'd get you caught up and kind of give you a game plan. We got this enormous fuel cell out of there. That thing's 22 gallons, I think. And we could have just run less fuel in it and put the weight somewhere else, but I didn't like its location. It was way back behind the axle. As you remember from previous videos, it sat way back here, and it felt like it was a pendulum at the high speed corners, like the carousel at Coda. The rear just was not confident. And so we've got a couple measures. Probably shouldn't have done both at once, but I'm usually like a go hard for the fix and then back off if we need to. So we have a smaller fuel cell coming, which we're going to mount up towards the front more, and that'll get rid of all the bulk down here. I know you'd like to keep it down low for center of gravity, but I'd prefer to have it more forward. So we're going to mount it further up by that firewall, and that should give us a little bit better balance that we're looking for. And then we also have a 9 Lives Racing wing coming, so we're going to take the wing penalty. That's for 2 reasons. 1, for the downforce. 2, because I couldn't hardly see anything with that the spoiler back there, because I sit so low in the car and the cage is so low, the main hoop is so low, that it's like my only option to see out the back. So we're going to try a wing, and well, I already know what to expect basically, because I've got one on the red car. So I've done before and after with that, and it's absolutely noticeable. So I replaced the front sway bar, which is a pretty beefy unit. This is a 36 millimeter Johnny O'Connell that was in the car, and I replaced it with just a standard Z06 30 millimeter because I need the front end to bite. I know there's a number of handling issues from Coda, and not surprising. I mean, we have zero testing on the car. So I'm throwing a bunch at it all at once, and then I'm hoping to be able to fine tune it while we're at NCM. But we need the car to turn in harder, especially on entry and rolling speed through the corner. I was not able to run with those lightweight cars, and I am the kind of guy that prefers a very, very good front end. I can usually, with the pedals and the steering wheel, handle the rear end myself and make speed. But the front end, there's not a lot you can do other than trail brake, which we did. I was trail braking almost constantly into every corner at Coda, just trying to make sure the front end was there, and if I didn't, it would wash out and push. And when I did trail brake, the other cars were just carrying a lot more speed through the apex, and so that's something I want to fix. And so I'm hoping what I'm doing now is a good start, and I think I probably went too far, but we can dial back. We've got the rear sway bar in the stiffest setting. We'll adjust that if we need to at NCM. That's an easy adjustment. The front sway bar, with the lines I routed underneath it, made it a nightmare to change. So I don't want to have to do that at the track, although I will be bringing my extra width just in case it's terrible. Some other items. Got a number of things we're going to do, which I'll talk about later, but I want to say a kudos and a congrats and a thank you to After Dark Speed, because they did something that most businesses probably wouldn't. We're running their rear tow bars, tow links, call them whatever you want, with their bump steer kit, and we're also running them up front. And they had switched to a new manufacturer for their spherical joints, Heim joints, whatever you call these things. And he had one of his other customers who had just gotten those call and say, hey, we've got a little bit of play after only a few races in our Heim joints. What should we do? So he looked into it, and he went back to his old manufacturer and got Heim joints from them. And instead of waiting to hear if I had a problem, he asked me. He said, hey, we just switched to new manufacturers. Why don't you check those and see how they are? And after just one race, 2 of them were starting to show signs of play. So instead of just waiting for me to complain or find out or have problems at a racetrack, he sent them to me. No charge, of course. And we're back to the original manufacturer, which he has had success with for years. So kudos to him, thank you. That's the way it should be. It rarely is, especially when you deal with large companies. It would be impossible for them to do that, most likely, unless it was a really, really common issue. But that's one reason it's nice to work with smaller companies sometimes, is it's a lot more personal and you get taken care of a lot better. So thanks After Dark Speed for that. Next. Well, there's a handful of things, like I said, and we're going to get over that, but for now, I'm going to get back to work, and you don't really need to watch because it's pretty boring stuff. I should point out, one of the reasons he switched these joints was because the replacement units that he bought, these black ones, are just by hand, they move a lot freer and nicer than his other ones, at least new out of the box. So they feel nicer, they're easier to adjust. But just from that one race, I can actually feel the play in this one. It moves so nice and free, you'd think it was perfect, but you can feel the play, and that's exacerbated once you get it on the car and you can feel the wheel move back and forth. Obviously you don't want that for alignment. You definitely don't feel confidence if your alignment's changing as you're driving. So this one still feels good, but if this one failed and another one failed in one race, these are not long for the world. So as cool as they feel and look, although they look identical other than these are black, I'm excited to have something that we can hopefully trust for a long time. So before I continue, I wanted to give an update on these brakes. I am so fortunate that these worked out so well. It couldn't have worked out better, really, to have gotten a smoking deal on these things. Again, these are the endurance style ones with the 25 mil pads. So they are super beefy to begin with, and just after one race, we're still tons of life left. So I don't know if they'll make a season, but signs are good, and not just durability, but that braking was like the highlight of the car. It felt great. At no point did I feel any lack of confidence in the brakes. And we're using the AMSOIL Dominator brake fluid, which most people don't use. Most people use like Motul or the Castrol stuff. But we've had just fine success. We're not even using any brake cooling. And I think Coda's relatively hard on brakes, especially in a few spots. Although you do get some time to be off the brakes there. But either way, no issues with fade or anything. Our rotors look okay. They were used already. So we'll just keep an eye on those. I've got 2 spares in the trailer for if we ever have a problem at the track. Although, man, I sure hope these last a long time, because these are not cheap. Yeah, so brakes were the highlight of the car. Maybe partially because it's so slow compared to what I'm used to. And the whole chassis felt good. Like for not ever driving this car more than around the block before we got to Coda, it felt good. The G-Speed sphericals were awesome. Deliver all the input to the car, so there's no rubber getting in the way, making you wonder what's going on. Oh, here's our new modification. So we're going to NCM. They have sound limits there, and we have run into problems there before, but our biggest muffler on this car is the throttle body. The throttle body's not even half open in this thing, so it's really not that loud. So I just aimed these up to the sky, and we'll find out. Hopefully that's good enough. What else? I bought a different air filter with a sock, because you can see no fender liners. So we've got one of those water resistant sock things, pre-filters that go over it. We're going to try that out when it rains and hope it's enough. Otherwise I'll have to put some kind of shield or liner back in there. I do need to cover up my brake area module, all that stuff. Oh, and we did send out, I sent this module back out to Doug Wardell to have them put the CSL tune in it, which just makes it a little bit better for balance for racing, and I think a little less intrusive in some ways, but basically proportioning. That is one thing I noticed, is it feels really front heavy with the proportioning. So hopefully that helps it a little bit, although we didn't really have any problems braking as late as anybody there, so it couldn't have been too bad. Also up here, you'll see I've got a couple wires unplugged. That's my brake light switch. Well, apparently that failed halfway through the race, so I didn't have brake lights for like the last 2 races, which is not ideal. So I've ordered a new brake light switch. I've tested to make sure that it was the switch, and it is. So hopefully I bought a slightly different style one for this go round, so hopefully that fixes it. Some other news: I ordered the 3M satin purple something or other wrap for the car, so hopefully it sounds like that should get done before NCM. So this thing will look a tremendous amount better, I would think. However, I am a little sad that we'll be covering up all our beautiful art, but I'll probably just leave it there though. I'm not gonna worry about, well, we'll see what he says. They gotta have a nice clean surface for the wrap to stick to, so we'll let them deal with that. Also, back to our damage over here. We've got our little whoopee right here in the bumper, so I'm going to try and basically tape this from the outside just temporarily and get it all lined back up as best I can. And then I'm going to use plastic weld on the inside and hope that that's good enough, and then we'll take the tape off on the outside and hope it holds nicely. I should need to get my bumper deal replaced, my little bash bar thing. And we've got some cleaning up to do from the damage up here too. So one day when I feel like itching, we'll start cutting fiberglass. I need to clearance the front fenders a little bit too. So all in all though, a really good first showing, I guess. Just because the car was almost dead nuts reliable except for some plug wires, which I've solved that too. I don't think I showed you on film. There we go. I bought some of these Taylor wires, which I've used them before and they're okay until they get used a few times, and when you pull them apart, oftentimes they'll separate on the bottom. So I'm going to try not to do that, but they're a short head basically on the boot, so none of them touch the headers anymore. And then I also bought the DEI plug wrap stuff, so that should solve our plug wire issues. And Viking Shocks were awesome too. I already knew that from 4 years of previous experience that they were going to be great, but we did have a cool scenario here. So with the red car at Mid-Ohio, we were having an issue getting through a bump because it really upset the car and you'd have to lift tremendously, and that was right before the acceleration zone towards a straight. So you couldn't carry as much speed, and then it's compounding the whole straight. So we took some high-speed compression out, and we got through that bump so much better, and we were able to stay on gas through the bump. Well, this time we had a different scenario. So I was at a very soft setting on the high speed in that car, so that's where I started on this one. I was at like 5 clicks on the high-speed compression, and we were bottoming out in a portion of the S's where it's really bumpy. You're carrying a bunch of speed and you're on the edge of the tire, basically right on the limit of grip, and then you hit a big bump and it was bottoming out. I had a 50-pound lead bar down here, and we were just smoking the bolts that were holding it in. So I just turned up the high-speed compression. I think I went all the way to 10 clicks, and we got through there fine after that. So that was a cool actual real-world use of the high speed, and that's maybe it wasn't like the fast way, but you sure don't want your car bottoming out either, especially when you're on the very edge of grip. So yeah, really happy with pretty much everything, and now we're just going to fine-tune hopefully and make this thing faster. I also have some more updates on tires and weight, because we're going to do some different things there also. So you'll be hearing that. I just ordered tires and wheels and way too much stuff yesterday and today. So you'll be seeing that too. We'll have different wheels, different options. We're going to try a street tire too, at least testing. So we're trying to win some races here, guys. And man, if anybody's out there that says, hey, we would love to give you money, dude, I could use it. Anyway, thank you all. I appreciate everyone's support. Hopefully soon YouTube starts sending me money. So tell your friends I need views. Although I'm not expecting much, because I mean, even if I get to, we just had our highest view video from the first race at COTA. We're nearing 1,000 views on that one. So if we can keep it up, maybe we'll get somewhere with this thing. It's not my intention, not my expectation, but sure would be awesome. All right, I haven't really been updating as frequently as I should, but one of the problems we had at COTA, about halfway through the races, my brake lights stopped working. So I've isolated the problem to this pressure switch. So I've got a new one here, slightly different, hoping maybe this one lasts more than a weekend. So we're going to toss that in. I've got it right in the right front, in line to the right front. So it's relatively easy to access. I just had to move a catch can and slide this in and out of there. So we'll put that in and we'll see if that fixes it. All right, one thing I'll do between every race is just bleed the brakes, and being we just had the front right open, we're going to bleed them, and now's a good time just to do them all. So I've got the master cylinder topped off with the Dominator stuff we run, and I sure like having these power bleeders. Makes it a one-man job, especially for just making sure we've got fresh fluid everywhere we need it. So. The pedal. Are you pushing it? There we go. Yeah. Okay, do it again. Hey everybody, it's new part day. So as you probably remember, we're going to put a smaller fuel cell in the back. This is the beast we had in there, 22 gallons. Way more than we need, not quite where we want it. So the new cell came in. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's from Pyrotect. And a new friend reached out to me and got me hooked up with this company because they were significantly cheaper for basically the same thing as Fuel Safe, or radium was even more expensive. I guess I could paint this green and it'd probably be the same thing. Anyway, seems like really nice quality stuff. I'm not going to do a remote fill. This might be a little bit of a challenge with our little deals, but it's got a little flapper valve in it. Down inside it's got the little cage thing down in the middle with the check valve, or check balls and stuff. So it's basically got like a surge tank built into it and foam all around to keep it from sloshing. It's got an air motive pump inside of it. And you can see we just got -6 return and pickup, -8 vent, power ground, bada boom. And I'm not using a sending unit because I don't really need to. We'll just fill it up every time. This is a 8-gallon cell. It's probably looks kind of big right here, but it's obviously less than half the size of the other one. And we're going to be able to move it forward too from where that one was located. So hopefully less pendulum-y effect. I built this so far. I've built this little thing, and I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to mount it to the car yet, but you'll see when I do. So the tops just come off. This will slide out the top, and the bottom's all solid cage. I suppose we'll call it a cage. And then I've got little strips of rubber, 1/8" rubber, that I'll just glue to keep it isolated. And should be pretty good. So you'll see it once it's further along here. Joke, hit me.
What type of shoes do ninjas wear?
I don't know.
Sneakers. What type of grades did the ship captain get?
A+.
High C's.
Ha! Alright, boys and boys, I need to wrap up this video here and get something out to you guys. It's been too long, but I do have the fuel cell finished up and in place. Sits maybe, well, it's definitely not any higher really. I put it right basically behind the diff, so we're, I mean, real close to the diff. So it's as far forward as we can get and as low as we can get basically. And she runs nice. Bolted right in and fired right up, so that's what we're looking for. And it doesn't sit down as low as the previous one. So I like that. And it should be safer because it's further inboard. So if we ever get smacked in the rear again, we shouldn't have issues there. We got some tasty wheels and tires that showed up here through St. Paul Speed and Performance. Not the tires, but the wheels. So these are some Apex 12.5 18s with some Yokohama 315s on them. We're going to give those a shot. I don't know. It's worth a try. And I need them. These wheels are for both cars. They're going to go on that car for autocross too. So the wheels and tires are for both cars because that's what we're going to be running for autocross this year. And then we also got this set of Apex 18x11s, also through St. Paul Speed and Performance. And we've got the purple tires on here. And we did go down in weight, which I barely touched on. We're going to hopefully be in the 3,050 to 3,100 pound range after taking weight and ballast out of the car. So that means we have to re-dyno and get a lower power figure to go with this new number. And I need 2 sets of dyno numbers, basically. One for these wheels and tires because I can save 4%, although this setup weighs 20 pounds more, or 22 pounds more. So that actually adds power that way too, versus the Hoosiers I have to take out 4%. So we're gonna make a bunch of different horsepower maps basically for different configurations, and then we can decide on what track should be best suited for that. I took out that's for our rewards weight still. Took out the Cool Shirt tank. We'll bring that with us on hot events, but for now it should be fine. We don't need that. I am going to throw in my anti-gravity battery from that car over in here. Just can't afford to buy another one. I bought that anti-gravity battery in this one that was like $800 for a stupid battery, so I'm not going to do that again. We'll just steal it from this car and put it in here. And that's really about it. Here's my buddy Austin told me he's had good luck with this brand. It's called Filterware's filter cover thing to keep debris and water specifically out. And I was like, hey, is it gonna work? Because my tire is gonna be there flinging water up, and his is the exact same way, and he's had good luck. So hopefully that's the case. This car should be starting to get purpleized here pretty soon, thanks to our friends at Viking Performance. We're gonna make this thing purple to represent them, and obviously we don't want it to look this trashy. We want it to look a little nicer and represent all the great companies that have supported me. So that is the plan. We did win one free Hoosier from just being lucky, which worked out good because we popped that other Hoosier, so I didn't have to buy that. So these will be test tires for, we're gonna head down a day early, and thanks to Aaron and the guys at Winning Formula, we're gonna be running their Friday test day at NCM the day before racing starts on Saturday. And that will be huge for us. That's what I should have done at Coda. But we should have a lot more options now for running different tires and trying different things. We've got the Hoosier wets ready too in case it rains. We should be a lot more prepared now. We've been through some of the little early teething pains, and I think I've got a decent plan for how to make the car faster, although I don't know, these top guys are so fast. I don't know if we'll be able to get there or not, but you know me, and you know I'm going to try, and I'm going to give it everything. So thank you again for watching. Smash buttons. Love ya. Bye-bye. Oh, and Johnny, if you're watching, stop watching and go make me a wing. I need a wing soon so I can go race with your wing. Pretty please.